Hello everyone, and how you doing today? I'm Wardy, and this is going to be the first match from the 25,000 YouTube subscriber invitational. We hit 25k YouTube subs around last week sometime. It's super awesome. I can't thank you all enough for all of the support. I'm not diving into the game just yet. I just want to do like a quick 1-minute intro. So basically, this event is a $1,600 event. It's on YouTube only, and it's because you guys have been so awesome supporting the channel. It's meant to be a big thank you to you all. The bracket is... basically, it goes in this order. It's 8-player invitational, all best of 5s with a best of 7 final, ShoWTimE versus INnoVation, TY versus Zest. Then on the bottom side, you've got Sue versus Stats, and Rogue versus Clem. So it's a really cool mix of players. I'm really excited for it. And like I said, let's just dive in and get started here. I'll mention a couple more things as we get underway. As our first best of 5 of this tournament starts off with the Blue Protoss player in the top right-hand side, ShoWTimE, one of our 2 non-Korean players in the event, taking on the Red Terran. In the bottom left-hand side, it's INnoVation. Obviously, if you do end up liking this video, hit that like button. It really does help. I really hope that these videos are a big success for it being it is our first ever kind of YouTube-only tournament. Yeah, we've done YouTube-only cast before. This is a YouTube-only tournament, which is really, really cool. It really, these games are just played for you guys. Obviously, if you haven't already subbed and helped us out, get into 25k, then obviously do that as well if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the casting. So this is a best of 5. What else did I want to say very quickly? If you want to find out more about the tournament, the link will be in the description down below. What I will do is I will link you guys to the TL.net thread, which has all the info, but will not have any results. So from the TL.net thread, if you want to find results, there'll be a link to the Wikipedia page that will have results as the matches get uploaded, or a couple hours or a day after they get uploaded. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. So if you want to check results from the matches, that's how you should get there. But obviously, I want you guys to be able to find out more info about the tournament, how the prize money is split, etc., if you would like to, without being spoiled at all. So that's the goal. And if you've got any comments or feedback on this as well, would you like to see a different format next time if we do another YouTube-based tournament? If we hit 50k subs at some point or something, then honestly, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. I just went super basic and simple for this one. 8 players, single elimination, best of 5s into a best of 7. I just thought it was clean and simple for our first YouTube-based tournament. So hopefully you guys like it. I hope these are great games as well. Honestly, with the players we've got, they really, really should be. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say, as we see pretty standard expansions on either side. I think we can just dive into the cast. Maybe I'll add a couple other things further down the line in the next game or so. But just again, another big thank you for all of the support that we've seen on the YouTube lately. You guys have helped me to do so much more this year with StarCraft and running extra events. It's really been incredible. So ShoWTimE INnoVation, it's one of these matches where ShoWTimE actually really isn't, if I remember correctly, that well favored. It's one of those weird ones where it's like you kind of always expect ShoWTimE to be having a decent chance. But he's actually only ever beaten INnoVation one time, and that was in an online event where he did take him down 3-0. And that one kind of surprised me, although I actually do think ShoWTimE was in Korea for that, so that's pretty impressive. They did have a sick matchup earlier this year in the WardiTV Spring Championship Tournament. If you guys remember that, ShoWTimE eliminated in an epic Game 5. That one, pretty sure it went up on the channel. But yeah, ShoWTimE, in the 8 times they've played, has only ever won once, but he has taken maps, 6-14 in maps. So that's what, like 3-14 if you take away his one series he won. So he does take maps here and there. The good news is that it's a general upward trend for ShoWTimE. It constantly seems as though he gets a little bit better every time he's been playing INnoVation recently. So that's obviously got a pretty big positive to it. You've got to come in still favoring INnoVation at the startup of this. Twilight Council, robotics facility, already down on the front. I was already seeing ShoWTimE making his play in towards some Blink Stalkers here. Oh no, he's going to drop the Dark Shrine. Now this is actually interesting because ShoWTimE, I've said this a couple times about him lately, where I'm like, oh, he's going to go for those Blink Stalkers, and it actually looks like he's going to, he does it on maps which are very aggressive maps for Blink Stalkers, where you can easily hit the natural with no ramp, and then rotate and blink into the main. But then instead he goes for the Dark Shrine, so he really loves this on Everdream. He actually does this on Death Aura a little bit as well. So obviously you get the DTs initially, and from the DTs, if you can keep them alive, you can then morph in Archons. And the Archons can trade out really well against early Marines and so on, because the Marines just don't have any upgrades for a long time. So the Archons do really good, just like Archons do well against like Roaches and Lings when they're controlled in a Prism against Zerg. So this has kind of been a newer thing in PvT, as INnoVation starts this game off with a Widow Mine drop, but he was also pretty quick to his second Rax. That tank is pretty essential to hold off blink attacks. Will it help against the Archons? Well, it will help to zone, but a tank against an Archon, it takes a lot of tank shots to kill off an Archon, so it's not one of those scenarios where you're like, oh my god, the tank's gonna, two-shot it, and it's not gonna be like that super crazy. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Initially, you should warp in here and probably send one DT to the natural and some to the main. I mean, biggest news right now for INnoVation is he does not have a Raven on the way. A lot of Terran builds that do introduce the Raven lately, not going for it here, definitely gives ShoWTimE even more potential for damage. He handles this first Widow Mine professionally. Second Widow Mine, looks like he's going to be perfect on that as well. And he does pull away just to make sure it's one worker lost only and nothing more as our DTs. First one actually just wandered down into a missile turret, so that's not the start you're looking for. But at the same time, there's not actually a scan available here for a couple more seconds. So ShoWTimE will look for a little bit extra, and of course he can just lift those DTs back up. A shame to lose one of them just wandering to the natural, but still gets a couple of kills here. I think an SEV, couple Marines, obviously far from ideal. And INnoVation kills 2 probes and gets back home with this medevac as well. But let's see what ShoWTimE is able to do now, going into the stage where he can morph in the 2 Archons and see if he can get any further damage done. And so far, INnoVation's hold has actually been pretty good. The preemptive missile turret was actually really well timed, really worked out. Just the one in the main could have been that little bit sooner. But of course, he was ready with the scan pretty soon after, so it was really minimal damage. Just here come the Archons, though. That's what I mean about the siege tank. You can just sit and eat a couple of tank shots. I know you don't want to sit in there forever, but you can easily drop in and take a couple tank shots if it means you're getting value out of it. The really great thing about this Prism drop lately is if you play the Archon drop, and then you need a defense on a third, you can bring the Archons back, and even if they're low HP, they can pull back, and you can basically get them shielded up by the super battery at the start of a fight or so, and then they're kind of full HP once again. So it's been one of the big things making those Archons even more viable in a matchup like this one, but one of your biggest threats may just be that counterattack of the Terran player. This is a nice pylon kill from INnoVation. He's going to find a second, so he's really looking to shut down a lot of the vision of ShoWTimE at the moment as these Archons come in to try and get lucky once again, but well, there you go. That's what I mean. You can drop down, take a tank shot, pick off a few Marines, and you're just chipping away at that army. Slowly chipping away. You've got to be very careful with this Warp Prism, though. If those Marines out on the map are able to catch it, that would be a true disaster. You've got to be super, super careful about that. You cannot let these Marines run underneath and pick that off. That is 100% certain. Extended thermal lens, building on that Robo Bay, a few Stalkers up into the main, and the Prism will bring the Archons back home. Going to unload them here on the third base, and everything joining up together. Might have another round of this happening fairly soon, as we do have other Marines out down at the bottom side. Bio Army tanks making their way out onto the map here. It's a scan across to the third base location, where Shield Battery is finishing up. Going to be seeing another pylon coming through. This army of INnoVation is going to regather itself back in the middle of the map, so it will regather. ShoWTimE setting up and ready for a fight. And this is when INnoVation wants to strike. He's got all of those upgrades in place. Stim Pack is done. Combat Shields is done. +1 attack is ready. I love that ShoWTimE went charge first, though. Just, yes, you lose kind of a lot of mobility against, like, drops and stuff with no blink Stalkers, but the charge is going to be really good against these tanks, typically. Here you go. 2 Colossi and 2 Archons in. I really feel as though this is just an army that doesn't really die. Backs away with the first Colossus. Second Colossus is still standing strong. Wow, credit to INnoVation. This went way better for him than I thought it would. As ShoWTimE backs off to the super battery, gets healed up. Can he go in again? It's very risky. Low HP Colossi. But there is only one tank, and that should go down quite quickly, so the Colossi shouldn't be targeted by anything. Now pulls back once more. This Archon is just going to get to the shield battery, but it turns around at the last moment. Could have had some healing. A third Colossus showing up. If ShoWTimE, I honestly feel if ShoWTimE just gets like an extra warp in of Zealots, this could actually go very well for him. He's very indecisive, and that's a problem because now you're eating some free tank shots, and that's never anything, never something you really want to go for. Warp Prism out over. He has not really done much either, so pretty inactive there. It's INnoVation to keep up the aggression out to the middle of the map. Scans out, sees the third base just mining comfortably, and INnoVation actually decides to pull away. Inno actually went up to 5 racks, so Inno's really committed here. He's absolutely looking to go for a killing blow. And that's really important to note, because now it means that ShoWTimE just has to find a way to hold on. And he's getting up to extra upgrades. Blink's about to be done, so that's going to be an extra tool to help him maybe navigate these siege tanks and to work around that. He's got the Warp Prism in the main base. Because he's had a little bit of freedom here, he's got a warping into the main, and now that's going to be chaotic for INnoVation. So this is, INnoVation's already kind of all in, but this really puts the timer on the all in. Now all of a sudden you can't just reinforce a couple more times before you're done. Now you're really got, now you're really playing with this army, and that is it. So here he goes, Zealots charging in, Marauders, tanks being chased down. SCV is still in some trouble. Bio Army's going to show up on the third, though. I don't think ShoWTimE was quite expecting INnoVation on this side. Here you go, the first few SCVs do not last long at all. Super Battery to save the Colossi as the Vikings get into play. An Archon in the front, some probes are pulling too, as he doesn't have that many Zealots remaining. He can get away with the probes, and he knows he can lose the probes with the damage he's doing across the map. Finally, a Colossus falls, but it's not going to be enough for INnoVation, and ShoWTimE will take that first game. At the same time, you've got these Zealots across the map as well, which are coming through and still just doing so much damage, right? Shutting off any reinforcements. And that's INnoVation's biggest issue. The lack of ability to reinforce here really does hurt. It actually really does suck. GG's, and ShoWTimE goes up 1-0 in this first match of the YouTube 25,000 subscriber invitational. Let's go into game number 2 as we continue through this entire best of 5, of course. Second map, Eternal Empire. Always a fun one. ShoWTimE can always bring out some stellar PvT games on this, as he is in the bottom left-hand side. The blue Protoss, ShoWTimE. And the top right, our red Terran player, INnoVation. So I want to take a quick moment to address a couple things that come up in the YouTube comments a lot, as this is a YouTube-based tournament. Just want to say, a lot of people mentioning stuff like end screen, the promo stuff that shows up at the end of a video. Yes, guys, I'm working on it. I'm literally waiting on my artist to send me over the new video. It should be ready sometime this week, so that is an issue that should be resolved. You know what? I had 2 things I wanted to mention. That was one of them, and the second thing I've just completely blanked on. So you know what? Doesn't matter. I think it was something based on spoilers, but I can't remember well enough to just go for it. So you know what? Whatever. Let's get into this PvT ShoWTimE INnoVation game number 2. Again, as always, if you do ever have any feedback on anything in the channel, feel free to post it in the comments, because I do read. I'm not going to say I read every single comment. I feel like that's not always possible, but I do always go through and have a read through pretty much anything that I didn't reply to. So, there's a pretty good chance I see the majority of stuff. So, if you ever have any feedback, I'm always all about trying to improve the channel, etc. I know a lot of you guys want co-casters back and stuff like that as well. It's definitely something we can look at. Maybe we could even get Harstom on for one of these series. I haven't asked him about that, but maybe you could make a special guest appearance for one of these best of 5s. Maybe we could do that to add a little bit to it as well. But yeah, like I say, obviously always listening to you guys. It's just really, you're going to hear this a lot from me in this event as we upload these videos, these 7 matches over the next week and a bit. But just thanks so much. I honestly can't believe how well the YouTube channel is doing, and it really is just all down to you guys. So thank you so much. People setting up, about to pop out from INnoVation. That's ShoWTimE's probe. He's going back home. I mean, the Bake Scout hears that there is indeed a Rax in the main base. That's information which is very important, because then, of course, you're not being proxied or anything. And this time, it's just going to be a Reaper opening, so there is going to be an attempt to scout from INnoVation. Last game, ShoWTimE just went in, and INnoVation didn't scout at all. No Reaper, just straight to that reactor. This time the Reaper is looking to pick up a bit of info. So already a change from INnoVation early in the game. Trying to get some information here. Played very aggressively on 2 bases that last game as well. And I wonder if that leads to anything similar in this game, or if he really moves on to 3 bases this time around. I'd be kind of shocked if you open 2 base, a 2-base attempt twice in a row basically as INnoVation. Especially when it doesn't work the first time around. If it works in game 1 and you're like, oh man, ShoWTimE's really weak to this, and you do it again and again, then I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But when you lose with it in the first game, I think that's definitely time to switch up and build 3CC this time. Doesn't have to be right away. My apologies, guys. That's my alarm to make sure I'm awake for my stream in an hour. Well, you can tell I'm having a productive day, because I'm already up here and casting some YouTube content before I was expecting to be awake. So take that for what you will. Sorry if that came through. A little bit of personality in the cast. He would have known it. All right, well, starport building up, going to finish in the main. Starport's coming through. He's going to be popping a medevac in the next few moments. Factory building a tech lab, and we do just have the blink. Continuing on that Twilight Council, the Stalker of ShoWTimE comes down to fight this Reaper off. Reaper is going to be chased away. Okay, going to finish up. We do see the third Nexus already down from ShoWTimE off to the side, and again, the Reaper of INnoVation just trying to keep up to date with this, right? The timing of a third is really nice to see. He's actually going to catch this probe that builds that very typical pylon, and the Reaper's just going to sacrifice itself through to see, okay, you are building a third base, so that means you are just going very fast blink into third. That means you're not going to be super aggressive on a stalk count. You know, you don't get a third base this early if it's 3 or 4 gateways. So he has a pretty good read on exactly what's up, and he is just going to drop his own third CC. So I feel like that gives him the safety to just say, yeah, okay, right, let's go for this now. Now there's a Widow Mine drop straight into the main base, and the first Widow Mine unloads, and again, ShoWTimE responding to this very effectively so far, same as he did in the last game. Very effective, very methodical, just move away, no real issues. Now blinking down and intercepts this medevac. First medevac! Oh, that's really bad, because it's going to go down. That's not dead airspace in that corner, so... Well, it's dead airspace, but it's not far enough away where the medevac was. That's a dead medevac. So 1 probe, 2 Widow Mines, and medevac down. ShoWTimE will be smiling. That's absolutely the kind of opening you're hoping for. As we have a double forge out on the left of the main. So all of a sudden, ShoWTimE's like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I've killed off the medevac. He's had a scout on the 3cc. That's actually really amazing. That hallucination giving him that scouting info just allows him to respond and say, right, I know you're going super greedy, so I can ramp up my greed as well. I'm in no threat of an attack. Your stim pack is 2+ minutes away. You know, I've got 2 minutes to do whatever I want, so by the time you fight, I'm already going to have 1-1 in charge, and that's going to be really good defensively against anything you can throw at me. And what I imagine is that ShoWTimE's just going to stick on a very kind of gateway-heavy composition at this stage. He is on 4 gases. He's not actually mining off this gas in the natural yet. We'll see if he adjusts that in a few moments. I definitely think he's got the probes here to mine from it. If he does take 4 gas, I mean, that could just be the additional little bit to help him with the 1-1. But typically 4 gas does say he's going to drop a Templar Archives and build into Storm here. So watching for that is 4 gateways build. There's the Templar Archives. So yeah, it is intentional that he's going to start mining from this, and he will go into that Storm. So it's not going to be purely charged lot Stalker like I initially thought it could be alongside those upgrades. He is going to get tech with it as well. He is going to move toward a bit of splash damage. If you play purely, I mean, I guess in a way it's kind of weird, but I guess if 1-1 upgrades come in, playing purely charged lot Stalker maybe isn't the best, because a lot of the time what you want to do is really just mass gateways and go. And so you maybe even prefer just having 1 upgrade, because then you just have a few extra units and that little bit of extra momentum to really break a third base of your opponent or to hold off attacks of your opponent. The other thing about it is as well, it's also that kind of greed aspect, right? A lot of the time, the massive gateway units is more of a completely defensive style because you just have so many units, your opponent can't attack you. And in this scenario, you know, now you're looking at a world where ShoWTimE is like, okay, well, actually, I'm not going to be attacked, so I can just get away with going into Storm. So I guess that's the real approach to it. Wardy figured it out after talking to himself about it for a little while. That's a nice auto turret. Big probe pull. And that's 2 and 3 kills, and maybe even 4. And in fact, definitely 4. 4 probe kills and a huge probe pull for a majority of the time. I mean, as you see this auto turret, he actually gets killed off. Look at the income difference it makes. ShoWTimE was actually doing great, and boom. Okay, this was a bit emphasized because INnoVation was also transferring to his third. But look at that jump and how it jumps back down once the probes get back to mining. That income really does make a huge difference here. The Marines and a couple Widow Mines chase down the bottom side, gets a probe to begin with. And already going to find a pylon on the 6 o'clock base as the rest of the army coming across to reinforce. So INnoVation pushing in, but Storm's about to be done. I'd say the weakest part of Storm right now is the fact you only have like 4 of them, which doesn't seem like a lot, but then there's not that much Terran bio, so you can even whiff one and still probably be mostly okay here. Alright, well, I'm going to see a few bio units coming down. Picks off a pylon, I'm going to get a second pylon. That's pretty Pretty sick. At the same time, on the right-hand side, we've got this attack still fighting, though. And ShoWTimE's going to take this one down pretty easily. There's a lot of tanks and marauders that are already dropping. I love the powering of these gateways, but it doesn't matter that much. This position for ShoWTime is falling apart a bit. He's actually really hurt by his own SimCity, and INnoVation's abusing that massively. Nice for ShoWTime to clean up on the third, but the drop in the main was the real point of contention. That's the position which really gets so much done in all of this. Good effort. Alright, well. Medevacs out on the bottom. That's going to be a fourth Nexus on the bottom of the map. So ShoWTime will keep on expanding. He's not thrown off by this attack and the damage he took. He's able to reset himself quite nicely, but INnoVation's already got the ghosts out. And, okay, Armory's on the way. For a moment, I was like, well, no 2-2 upgrades or anything. You never know. INnoVation, way back when, loved the 3 ghost pull. 3 ghost SCV pull. It was an INnoVation special. You could probably call it the INnoVation TvP build back then. Because they know just using this dead airspace to his advantage, just going to sit. And it's such an abusive dead airspace location because you can either go for the third or the main. So you've got 2 real points of contention there. Bio down the left side, Medevacs and Widowmines. Really the supporting units of this alongside that bio, so really hoping these Widowmines can get some good connections on the Zealots. Gotta pray you can chunk those down a little bit, but it's gonna be tough. You need it as well with the 2-2 upgrades. 2-2 upgrades are very, very powerful, so you need those shields to come off instantly so that you can make your way. It's kind of why you need ghosts as well, because you just need to be able to start working your way through that Zealot health bar as soon as possible. If you got to go through shields first with the bio attacks, you're just going to die before you kill anything. So EMPs, Widowmines, that combo is going to be super valuable here in a few moments. And so you have a bit of a posture setting up. First EMP hits an Archon and an Immortal. That's not bad. Enhanced Shockwaves is in the game, so he's got that large EMP radius. That Widowmine? I don't know why it just trailed over to kill off. Was it an Observer or was it a hallucination? Apologize, didn't see properly. As we do see ShoWTime just going to jump on this. Ooh, feels like he's very stacked up with the Widowmine shots. Takes an anti-armor missile to the face. Still has his Storms. Actually gets hit by an Interference Matrix, so now he can't get the other High Templar out just yet. At the same time, dropped into the main. Handily dealt with. Stalker's even warping in to try and get the Medevac kills on the end. So ShoWTime's still going to dance the fight over here, but I'm still worried about the anti-armor missile. Obviously does make those units a lot more vulnerable, despite the upgrade advantage. ShoWTime, oh, he looks like he wants to keep on pushing. He's got money to spend. If you can get an extra warp in across the map and go, all of a sudden this army of INnoVation has lost all of the ghosts. And there's no Widowmines left. There's no splash damage anymore. It's just Marines and Marauders. And especially very heavy on Marauders, which is going to be horrible against the Zealots. They just don't have the damage output they need. Suddenly INnoVation's fourth base is just a complete goner. It's going to die. No chance of saving it there. He loops around the back with the bio. Doesn't catch the Prism, however. Maybe he can make a bit of a sandwich happen. But I don't even know if he wants to sandwich this. This is a sandwich that's going to bite back. It's going to eat you. INnoVation, he comes on in and he's going to try and fight it. And it's just not going to work, right? The Storms to weaken up the army as well, and everything else from ShoWTime. Am I getting too ahead of myself? Maybe I am. There's 2 Immortals still on this high ground with the Storm, though, and those Immortals are going to be beasts against the Marauders. For a moment, I kind of believed in what INnoVation had, but also ShoWTime's got so much coming across the map, too. Well, these other Marauders going down. Ghost showing up. That's huge against the Archons. They will basically be deleted. I think that's a big round of Zealots about to run up this ramp into the natural, though, and that's going to be massive. There is nothing to fight these Zealots. There's still 2 Immortals and Stalkers alive over here. And these Zealots run in, and that will be it for ShoWTime to take a 2-0 lead. Looking absolutely fantastic. Looking amazing. I really just played a hell of a game. Saw what INnoVation was doing. Made that read early. And from that read says, right, time to drop down my double forge. Time to get my Temple Archives and Storm nice and early. I'm under 0 pressure at all. Let's just get this going. And let's have a great time. And he had a great time of it. The drop in the main was definitely a big positive for INnoVation. I feel like that was doing very well for a while, but then he lost the entire army on the third base as well, which never is going to be fun. GG's, and ShoWTime gets onto match point. A third map here as we go up 2-0 with the blue Protoss on the bottom right-hand side. It is ShoWTime. up against the Red Terran in the top left-hand side. INnoVation. He needs a bit of a comeback in this series right now. Down 0-2, definitely not where he wants to be, and definitely not looking too pretty. Just as a quick mention to start the game, to start the games, I like to say some things, take a quick chance to promote some stuff that's going on. But just a quick mention to the Patreon page. We've not really mentioned it on the YouTube in a long time. Patreon.com/WardiTV. The link's always down below in the description. It's one of the best ways for you guys to support the YouTube content if you guys enjoy it. Everything pledged on the Patreon page goes toward WardiTV tournament prize pools, so it goes directly into StarCraft. But that actually helps me out because obviously it gives me content to cast and produce for you guys. So it's kind of a win-win in that regard. So do check it out if you've got a few dollars to spare. That's the Patreon page. INnoVation is gonna get cheeky, as we do have a double gas opener here in the main base. Gets 2 gases down to start us off. Gonna be seeing this probe of ShoWTimE out and around. Gonna move up as well to try and see what's going on. Reaper is on the way up here from INnoVation as we get going. A probe going to move out and around. That's where we sit right now as this probe. I'm going to stay and look to see what's going on. Obviously, ShoWTimE's going to be a little bit concerned about what's happening here initially, trying to move up this ramp, but unable to get there. Full wall off, doesn't see an expansion. Definitely something which is a little bit concerning, right, for sure. ShoWTimE's really checking around everywhere because he knows for a fact that there's, he knows for a fact this is a little bit troubling, right? He knows that this is not really how things are meant to be going just yet, or so far. And he wants to kind of figure out what the hell INnoVation is up to. INnoVation, kind of one base it for the moment. Tech lab onto that factory. Set up for the moment here, as we do see the siege tank coming up. A couple of Marines on the way. Yeah, he's just gonna go for like one mega push, right? Pretty sure this is gonna be one mega push. Really look to get something done. We do see the robo facility on the front of that natural. Reaper is moving. Adept gets here, and Adept is able to put some damage out. So Reaper is gonna take a another extra shot of damage. Reaper through the center, couple gates coming in, Blink setting up. It's going to be seeing the Wolf Gate about to finish. I mean, ShoWTimE really wanted to get that Blink up. This is just going to be this one big push from INnoVation. Guess what? He's just going to fly 2 tanks across the map, walk the Marines. He looks like he's setting up, he sends an SCV to the low ground as though he wants to expand. Will he expand? Do you just expand behind this and say, oh yeah, we can make this work? Well, I guess it's possible. All the Marines moving down. Adept taking some damage already. And 2 tanks going to drop down. They're actually going to intercept this Adept, so Adept goes down. So that gets shut down already. Oh, that's nice, but then of course ShoWTimE now sees this coming. The tank's going to drop forward on top of the Stalkers. Here we go. This is going to be a little bit of fun, isn't it? Some Stalkers getting dropped on, and well, tank's now going to siege. Marines pressing forward, just going to be seeing the robo facility taking a whole bunch of damage. Pylon taking a beating as well. Pylon's going to go down. That's going to empower the robo, so the Immortal will not get out in ShoWTimE. The robo in the front, obviously, it's built there to deal with like a Hellion run by or so, but it's just not great for him at all now, because now you lose that very important structure. And without an Immortal, is there a way to make this work? He's adding on gateways. He's trying to get to Blink, but I think he's in a lot of trouble. I think he's in a lot of trouble, in fact. Liberator going to siege up as well to keep this push going forward. Max is still taking some more shots. Stalkers look like they're going to blink out onto the map. And he's still coming through. That Nexus in some deep trouble. I don't know. I don't know what ShoWTimE does. He's going to try and intercept reinforcements. Absolutely one of the best ideas. And finds a siege tank to begin. But at some stage, he still has to clean this army up. And how the hell is he going to clean this army up? That's my question. I don't have an answer. Even if you continue across now, there's only one siege tank here at the moment. There is hope maybe that ShoWTimE can just blink on top of that. Take it down. But then there's Marines there. And again, there's just absolutely nothing from ShoWTimE back at home. He's relying on a shield battery, which doesn't heal up that Stalker enough. He does blink on the tank. He'll go for these Marines, but now there's a tank on the high ground he'll have to fight through. He's just never going to win a base trade because INnoVation's just dealing way more damage, over time here. He's just got more units to deal damage with, and ShoWTimE going to blink up, get this tank as well. I think this is the best case scenario for ShoWTimE after what happened. But it's just still not going to be enough. He's stuck in a corner. He needs to blink away because the SCVs are actually going to win the fight. And if the probes of ShoWTimE could win this fight over here, that'd be a very different scenario, right? That would kind of work. But that's obviously not what is happening in the slightest. And INnoVation is going to get on the scoreboard. We can only be a fan of that. Hells yeah. Thumbs up all around. And INnoVation is going to make a series out of this. It would have been really sad if the first series of the tournament was just like a flop. 3-0 ShoWTimE's win. Cool upset, but that's not what we want, right? We want it to go back and forth. We want a bit of action and all of that good stuff. INnoVation killing ShoWTimE's main and getting himself into the point of maybe returning in this series. Getting that first point on the board. It's the first step. ShoWTimE is still in the lead, but a little bit of weakness there. As he has the blue cross on the bottom left-hand side. I always feel it's interesting when these kind of things happen, though. Because I always feel it's like one of those scenarios where it's like, oh, you lost a game to a one-base all-in. Well, is he going to do a one-base all-in a game? Because then it's much easier for ShoWTimE to, against a one-base all-in, it's very easy to say, oh, if I see something like that, I can maybe do this and this differently. And it's a couple changes that can go a long way. Compared to, if you're getting into a macro game and you just can't kill the guy, and then he's just winning a long game, then there's generally a lot more changes that need to be made, right? As we go down, the top right side is going to be INnoVation. Red Terran in that top right. Let's see if he turns back around. We're going to get dropped. Rax is building up, going to complete soon as we do have our gateway just finishing in the main. We're going to go over and he's looking to drop down the side. The core wall off, of course. INnoVation. So INnoVation's playing a mind game this time. He goes double depot to block a scout and doesn't go for a second gas. So he will expand, right? There's no world in which you don't just expand off this, because you can't really afford much else. When you go for the Reaper especially, it's not like you're on your way toward a factory anytime soon or anything along those lines. INnoVation will bring the SCV up to the top side, where you can place that factory down. Sorry, not factory, command center down. Got factories on the mind. So yeah, command center goes down. Now ShoWTimE, he is going to start scouting, but he starts scouting by checking the proxy locations, so it doesn't go out across the map just yet, as we have the probe making its way up to the top side of the map. The Reaper on its way down the right as well. So also looking to see what else is going on. Pushing around, trying to pick up a probe or a pylon, just trying to find anything, right? Just in case ShoWTimE's being cheeky, because there was no SCV scout from INnoVation, which is also greedy in its own right. To skip the SCV scout is definitely a step that oftentimes you need to make. This reactor is going to finish up on the racks. We see the second racks in a factory building, a CC. Number 2 in the main, as we mentioned before. And that's the thing, as ShoWTimE shows up, suddenly you're maybe a little bit concerned about what the hell is happening. Because you just died to something that looked very similar to this. He died to something that looked very, very similar to this. As you see, probe's going to chrono boost from ShoWTimE. Well, Stalker's just patrolling out the front. We're going to see this Reaper of INnoVation up around the top and really just checking to see what is where. ShoWTimE sends an Adept forward and we'll move that up in toward the main base. Adept continuing through, just going to move along. Marines kind of at the front as the Adept not going to get up there, but you see a few Marines. I mean, that's something at least. You kill off the Reaper as you do set up your wall off. This time, just extra gates already, rather than a robo as part of the wall, so definitely an adjustment which I like. But of course, you've got to remember that this isn't something aggressive from ShoWTimE, but in case it from INnoVation, but if it was, I like ShoWTimE's adjustments. He's going to see the command center and what a scout that will be. ShoWTimE will feel a lot better about this now, seeing a command center. Just drops down the robo, and can absolutely now just feel much, much happier with kind of how things are going, how things are moving along, and all of that good stuff. As this Adept going to make its way up the ramp, is going to even get into the main, so he gets a full scout of the racks, building a stim pack and building a combat shield, and that's some fantastic little piece of information. I mean, that's kind of the dream, right? You get to see everything that's happening in this main right now. That's really, really good news. Okay, well, ShoWTimE's looking great right now in a game number 4. Just in terms of the info he has, INnoVation's still down a lot of workers. Down by 13 workers, in fact. That is a lot of workers, friends. That is a lot of workers that are currently missing. These Stalkers will just set up at the front. Another Stalker moving along. Blink about to finish. Robo Bay in the main. As all of our Stalkers set up, we've got Marines and a tank on that natural expansion. Are going to be not really seeing, I think, much from these Stalkers. You could blink in the main. Tank there just unsieged. Obviously, it depends if you can pick up that information. There's a hallucination coming across to help him make that decision, and there really is just a lack of anything at all in this main base right now. So hallucination moves through, and ShoWTimE is a bit like, okay, well, I don't see anything. The new tank just spawned. Now he sees the army on the natural. ShoWTimE would prefer to just pick away and chip away at this. He doesn't have charge yet, so he wants to A, buy time for charge, and B, any units he kills, as SCVs are pulling too, any units he kills right now are really, really this kind of very strong addition in terms of where he is at right now in this game. Stalkers still pulling back, and to get another Marine. And he get charge up. He's 60 seconds away. He's building a disruptor, another tool to really buy a bit of time. To try and push this army away, stop it from committing up. No starport here, right? So this is just 3 racks of units. INnoVation needs to play like hyper aggressively, I would say, compared to what I would expect from him in this series. Like, I know INnoVation likes to hit timings and play aggressively. This disruptor shot, I just feel it. I mean, maybe not. I say that as there's a scan on it, so maybe not quite feeling it as much as I should have been. Stalkers intercept reinforcements, though. It's a tool that we saw, a method that ShoWTimE tried to employ last time, and it didn't quite work, but this time he's shutting them down, and he has a realistic defense at home, too. His robo is set back, not in trouble. Disruptor's going to fire, takes a tank shot, but it gets a huge connection onto a lot of the Marine Marauder to start off here. Oh my goodness, well, at the same time, the Stalkers can now return. The reinforcements are being shut down, so there's not that many units here, really. He's going to go for the blink in and shut these tanks down. One of them is not even sieged up just yet. Gets one tank, working on the second one. It's been repaired, though, so it's a little bit trickier for ShoWTimE than it may be. Tank shot pushes a few Stalkers away, as we'll see. Still a bit of zoning on the natural expansion here. Disruptor's going to line up a shot, fire forward. Doesn't quite connect us yet. Make another disruptor shot that goes through. Does hit the siege tank. SCVs are there to repair, though. And ShoWTimE chip away at this well enough. INnoVation very committed with the SCVs that he pulled. Only 31 workers in the game to 46. Killing Stalkers that are trying to flank, however. A few charge locks showing up. And ShoWTimE put them to good use. I mean, it also comes down to the disruptors as well. He's actually going to get one disruptor shot off there, and that's good. And the follow-up should be great. Hits both the siege tanks, so now they're very easily targetable down. He gets one. Will he get the other? Just in the end, there's not enough SCVs. Oh, and getting rid of the tanks really makes this a problem. Trying to Chrono Boost out an Immortal. If you can get an Immortal, suddenly you're talking about an Immortal against a low amount of bio units. It should be fantastic. But there's still 2 siege tanks here. That disruptor shot forces a split. He's going to lose the robo. There's a new disruptor. Doesn't connect just yet. ShoWTimE has a lot of money to spend, but he doesn't have the gateways to spend it, apparently. Might also just have had some supply block issues as he drops the super battery. Can use that. Is that out of reach of the Nexus? I think he wanted to use it to heal the Nexus, but he can't. Stops the bunker going up, at least. He had to fight before that happened. Disruptor shot going down. That's... Oh, how is it not a dead siege tank? Are you kidding me? Okay, the tank does go down. His INnoVation keeps the pressure up. Another disruptor lands on a Marauder. INnoVation, I feel, is running out of units here, trilling the last few bits and pieces in, but now ShoWTimE's getting extra Stalkers and another couple Zealots. And INnoVation just didn't do enough fast enough here, as ShoWTimE will win this series out 3-1. A very aggressive INnoVation that showed up today. A very aggressive INnoVation that showed up today. And it really didn't work out for him. From 2 base all-ins to this kind of 1.5 base all-in to a 1 base all-in in the last game. Just, yeah, just didn't really want to play onto 3 bases at all, right? The only time he did get to 3 bases, even then, it was just ShoWTimE seeing it early and responding well. And credit to ShoWTimE, he moves through to the semi-finals of the YouTube 25,000 subscriber invitational by WardiTV. Of course, that means he's going to play the winner of TY versus Zest. That will be our next YouTube Invitational Tournament upload. In terms of a quick schedule for this, I'm hoping this goes up on Wednesday. And I'm hoping TY Zest on Thursday. And I'm hoping we actually just have the other matches going up Friday, Saturday. And then, I don't know about the semis and stuff. But basically, I'm hoping to get them all up within the next 1.5 to 2 weeks. That is the plan. I do just have to cast them, so I have to find a bit of time, but I think that should be okay, more or less. So yeah, that's where we're at, guys. That's where we're at, the YouTube 25K Invitational. I hope you loved the first series of it. If you did, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another upload of beautiful StarCraft 2 action. See you guys later. Peace out. Bye-bye.